So often we make Naruto or Sasuke the main star of the storyline, and this is only right because the name of the series is Naruto, and the plotline revolves around him and attempting to bring Sasuke home. Their character arcs are the most prominent, so they make for perfect main characters. But due to this, Sakura tends to suffer, despite being at the forefront of the story as well, and that's likely because she has little to do. She's more of a support character, despite being in the same team as the main character. The best phrase to represent her would be third wheel. But what happens if we pluck Naruto out of the storyline? Where does Sakura go? Well, I suppose it's time for us to figure that out. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. This story takes place just after the Chunin exams, where Naruto and Jiraiya are leaving to collect Tsunade to become the Hokage. But on their way, this is normally where Itachi and Kisame show up to take Naruto, and only when Guy arrives can they save Naruto and Jiraiya. But I've got a question. What if Itachi and Kisame weren't the ones who came after Naruto? What if, knowing the importance of the Nine Tails within him, Pain ventured out himself? And while I know that this is probably a hard idea to consider, as it generally takes Pain time to get set up, but for the sake of curiosity, let's say that during Itachi's trip to Konoha, where he put Kakashi under, he discovered what Naruto was doing and where he was going. And with the help of a very specific man's space-time ninjutsu, Nagato could beat Naruto to the rest point and lie in wait for him there. What happens then? As soon as Naruto and Jiraiya get to the location to rest, they immediately are jumped, and Jiraiya, at a deep disadvantage, is unable to protect Naruto, and is likely killed by Pain. With such close quarters, few places to move or hide, and the overwhelming power of the Rinnegan, Jiraiya would soon be killed, and Naruto taken. The Konoha Council, receiving reports, would rush to send the best, most skilled shinobi to rescue Naruto, but in the end, they are too late. By the time they find him, he's already dead. And that is where our story officially starts. Sakura, having heard the rumors that Naruto had been captured, waited anxiously for the Anbu to return to Konoha with her teammate. Sasuke waited by her side. Nerves had overtaken Sakura. She never was Naruto's greatest fan. She always thought he was annoying, got in the way, was overly boisterous, but ever since the end of the Chunin exams, she had come to appreciate him on a greater level. Naruto was annoying, in the way, and boisterous, but there was more to him than just that. There was something charming, something that made up for those things. Was it his secret kindness that showed every so often between bouts of anger and uncontrolled emotion? There were many good qualities about him, and it was because of those qualities that now she felt worried. She never thought she could feel this way about Naruto. From the moment she knew he was on her team, all she could think was getting him off of it. But now that there was a possibility he could die, she couldn't help but silently pray for his safe return. As she waited before the gate, she saw the procession of Anbu agents, each wearing one uniform, only distinguished by their masks. Sakura walked forward toward them. "Where is Naruto? Is he safe? Is he all right?" The Anbu agent looked down at the little girl with compassion, yet said not a word. Stepping out of the way, another agent stepped forward, and in his arms was the body of Naruto. Kneeling down for Sakura to see, she was in shock. At first, she imagined he was sleeping, but her heart knew better. His skin had a gray hue to it, no longer the tan peach it often was. The chill Sakura felt as she touched his skin. This told her he was dead. Taking a step back, her legs weak and tired, she fell down as if she just witnessed the most horrific thing in the world. This prompted Sasuke's generally nonchalant stance to suddenly shift to concern, as his hand extended, as if he could somehow telekinetically cushion her fall, but surprised when he failed. Walking over to her, he saw the look upon her face. It was as if she'd seen a ghost. Sasuke had seen that look in her eyes before. He too had experienced it. A pain so deep that the mind and body could not process it, remaining in that liminal space between emotions characterized only by disbelief. Sasuke looked at Naruto to see what she had seen. As Naruto lay in the arms of the agent, the boy's jacket had been ripped open. His undershirt ripped down the center, revealing the seal on his abdomen that had so long kept the gate closed, holding the Nine Tails within him. Black ink and marking forming what seemed to be a large gaping hole within him formed from tar. The Nine Tails that had been inside had been forcibly removed. Sasuke had read about such things. He must have been so scared, in so much pain. And after the removal of the tailed beast, his body began to systematically shut down, which is likely what had led to such a sickly look on the boy's face. He suffered. That's what Sasuke knew. He suffered. And it was all due to the same man who had locked Kakashi into a coma, Itachi. Looking back at Sakura, he sympathized, even if he didn't intentionally do this. She was experiencing the same thing that he'd experienced when Itachi slaughtered his clan. Looking at Naruto again, he felt strange. Naruto had always been an annoyance, but even when Sasuke had considered killing him to gain the Mangekyo, he never could. That thought crossed his mind a lot. A Mangekyo awakened from hatred and suffering. Sasuke knew it would hurt to awaken it. And as he now stood here, looking at Naruto's body, he knew why he could never kill him. He liked Naruto too much. It gave him hope for the future of the world. And now that hope was crushed again. Crushed by evil. Crushed by Itachi. Sasuke had yet to notice, but his Sharingan had evolved. The one thing Sasuke never imagined he could ever do had happened without his consent. And because of that, the only thing Sasuke could think was, if I had been there, if I had been quick enough, if I had stopped Itachi from harming Kakashi, I could have saved them both. The feeling of weakness and uselessness had awakened a deeper hatred within Sasuke, not only for Itachi, but for himself as well. And now, in response to Sasuke's desire, power had awakened. His Mangekyo Sharingan had awakened. The night was hard on Sakura. Laying in her bed, staring out at the moon, she felt troubled, her heart collapsing. Unable to sleep, she put her shoes on and stepped outside. As she walked, though, she saw Sasuke doing the same. Following him, she found him heading toward the gate of Konoha. It was then that she noticed he was carrying a pack. Is he leaving? She questioned. Rushing forward to his side, she called out, "Sasuke!" The boy stopped but didn't wish to turn around. His very body language acted out a silent question. Why? Why did she have to discover me now? "Where are you going?" she asked. "Away." "Where's away?" Sasuke was silent for a moment. "I need to get stronger. I can't let Itachi keep taking things away from me. I need to kill him. I'm tired of living in his shadow, waiting to get snapped up the moment he learns of what I've awakened." "What did you awaken?" she questioned. Sasuke slowly turned to look at her, a set of glowing red eyes, their irises taking on a somewhat botanical shape. She gasped. "Your Mangekyo," she said. "I need to learn how to use them. I need to gather as much power as quickly as I can, so I can't allow attachments to slow me down." Sakura was silent. Sasuke continued. "I hated that dolt. I hated his guts. So why did his death awaken these in me?" Sakura remained quiet once more as Sasuke went over it in his head. I liked Naruto. He was the first real friend I felt I had in a long time. And now he's gone too, and I can never forgive that. Itachi did it again. He stole from me again. He hurt me again. Well, never again. I will grow stronger, and I will kill him, he said. "Why can't you do that here?" Sakura asked. "Because my greatest chance is with Orochimaru. He's the one who can give me strength, awaken my full potential, help me cut corners and make the most of what I am." Sakura was appalled. "He's a murderer, a terrorist. You're gonna trust him? He tried to kill you," she said, trying to reason with him. "What he is irrelevant to me," Sasuke said. "I will use him for what he's worth and destroy him." Sakura, beginning to panic, spoke. "No, I forbid it. You'll stay here with me." "I don't think you have a say in the matter," Sasuke said. "I'll scream. I'll stop you," she shouted. "I'll scream for help and then you'll not be able to leave." Sasuke sighed and walked over toward her. Sakura suddenly felt a stone in her stomach, as though she was looking into the eyes of a man who would kill her. "I wish to kill Itachi and avenge my clan. Then, after I do that, I need to recreate my clan. There's no girl that I respect more than you, Sakura. If my mission goes well, when I return, I will fulfill your dreams, and in return, you will produce me an heir." He said this very business-mindedly. Sakura's heart began to flutter, though it also began to grow distrustful of him. She loved him so deeply that it didn't matter to her if he loved her, so long as she had the opportunity to love him. As she thought about these things, he took control of her thought processes once again by raising her chin and kissing her lips. Sakura's guard fell. Sasuke then spoke. "That's my plan, but you will forget it was ever said to you." She opened her eyes again in confusion, only to be met with the gaze of a Mangekyo Sharingan. In that moment, all memory of what he had said to her was erased from her mind as her eyes rolled up in her head. She began to fall backward, only to be caught by Sasuke. He lifted her up in his arms and laid her down on a bench nearby, and there Sakura remained for the rest of the night. The following morning, she sat up. She was parched and needed water. Going to the nearby water fountain, she made the better decision to just remain thirsty as strep throat sucked real bad and she didn't want to risk catching it just because her mouth was dry. Why had she awakened on the bench? She knew she had trouble sleeping, and she knew that she'd gone for a walk, but after that was a mystery. She assumed that she had simply been far more fatigued than she first thought, that her mind basically stopped recording memories, that she sat down on that bench and conked out. She had no clue what happened with Sasuke or what he had said. This was the power of the Mangekyo Sharingan, the eyes of heaven that saw the truth in all creation, the same eyes that could disguise and hide the truth, twist and warp it in the minds of anyone who gazed upon the beauty that was their crimson hue. The color red, the color of anger, the color of blood, the color of life. A passionate flame in those eyes, a flame that could burn away any memory or plant false ones. Such was the Mangekyo Sharingan. Sakura had experienced it, but she would never know this. Not truly. As she got to the store, she checked her pockets and found that her wallet was missing. Likely a not-so-fair trade to whatever bum had left the newspaper on her face. She was just thankful that all they did was take her wallet. It was honestly quite a stupid move for her to fall asleep in the middle of nowhere, and in the open. But despite that, the people of the village were good-hearted people. And after realizing she had no money, the store owner in his kindness gave her the bottled water for free. After all, she had a Konoha headband on, meaning she was a shinobi. She could consider this a service to thank her for her services. Thanking the man, she stepped outside and wandered home, where her worried parents asked her where she had been. She informed them that she was just upset with everything that had happened, couldn't sleep, and decided to go for a walk. They asked her to leave a note or something next time to not worry them. She promised she would. She then told them that she somehow lost her wallet on the walk and that she needed to borrow a little money until her next paycheck came in, then she'd pay them back. Due to everything she'd gone through, they gifted her that money, telling her that she didn't need to bother paying them and to instead try better not to lose her next wallet. From there, she visited Kakashi. He was still in a coma. The plan was to go to Tsunade and recruit her to be Hokage, but Naruto and Jiraiya never made it there. Another group was headed out, but whether they succeeded was anyone's guess. There was nobody else who could help Kakashi recover. She could only imagine what he was suffering. Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan's genjutsu prowess was so terrifying that not even Sasuke's Mangekyo could. Wait, how did she know that Sasuke had a Mangekyo Sharingan? The moment she realized that she should have no memory of that, yet somehow remembered the pattern, she knew something was wrong. Kissing Kakashi's cheek, she told him to get better soon and left the hospital. She headed for Sasuke's apartment. She needed to talk to him. However, no matter how much she knocked, the door wouldn't open. Despite that, Sakura felt as though she needed to get in. So, pulling a hairpin from her head, she knelt down and inserted the pin's pointed section into the lock. There, she slowly began to wiggle it around, searching for the pins inside and attempting to press them while wiggling the lock. Eventually, she got the thing to turn, allowing her to enter. As soon as she did, though, she immediately knew something was wrong. The room seemed off. The lights were out. The bed was well made and the AC unit had been turned off to conserve power. None of these things were necessarily bad, but generally the AC was only ever turned off if you were planning to take a long trip and wouldn't be coming back for a while. Beyond that, his clothes drawers were rather empty. He had packed. It was then that she began to put the pieces together. She was missing time from last night and could remember Sasuke having a Mangekyo Sharingan because she had seen it and he had used it on her. She couldn't remember exactly what had happened, but she assumed this must be it. She must have discovered him as he was preparing to leave, and he didn't want her stopping him. As soon as she realized that, she sat down on the edge of his bed looking at the floor, her hands reaching up to her head, her fingers spilling long strands of hair apart as her emotions finally began to overwhelm her. Everything was falling apart. Kakashi was left in a comatose state. The Hokage was dead, a large portion of the village was devastated, Naruto had been killed, and now Sasuke had left the village for some reason and very possibly could or would never return. Everything was going to hell and Sakura couldn't do anything about it. Her entire world had, in but a few weeks, been turned upside down, and now she didn't know what to do. She continued to just cry for a while, letting all of her emotions out until she finally caught herself and took a deep breath, sucking it all back in. Standing up, she knew that the only thing she could do now was move forward. And so, as the night came around and she tried to sleep, she came to the decision that she would fix things herself. If that's what it took, that's what she would do. And so, as the morning came around, she began to gather her things and prepared to set out, explaining to her parents exactly what she was doing and why they reluctantly let her go. And so she began to make her way out of the village. She was going to complete Jiraiya and Naruto's mission. She knew that soon a new group would be sent out, but none of these people truly knew Naruto or Jiraiya, not like Sakura did. She knew that if she were to go, maybe Tsunade would listen to her, maybe she would empathize with her. And so, as she walked down the path to Tenezuka quarters, she stopped only to eat and rest. Her determination carried her forward and gave her the strength to keep walking. As she finally entered, she looked around. Frankly, she had no idea where she was going, or how to find Tsunade. She had never met this woman, nor had she ever been to this town. She didn't even know where to start. And so, as she walked the grounds, she found a place she could stay and rented a room. It wasn't very spacious, nor did it have a nice view. It was cramped and caught between two alleys. The room didn't even have a good lock on it, but it was cheap and secluded, so she knew she could make do. Whenever she was in the room, she would bar the only door with a sturdy chair that would impede anyone trying to break in. That way, at least it might make a lot of noise if someone tried to get in, startling Sakura awake and allowing her to defend herself. And seeing the quality of this place, she began to think that that was a very possible thing. Could she afford something more expensive? Well, yeah, she could, but she did not want to recklessly spend her money. She already had so very little of it, and she didn't know how long this mission would take, so she kept a tight watch on her wallet. Whenever she left the room, she simply took her backpack with her so she could keep an eye on it. Without any leads, she knew she needed to dig for herself. So she did the best thing she could and asked people if they knew who Tsunade was. Some people were kind, others were not. Some desired money, while others needed a sob story. So Sakura created one and used her ability to cry on demand to her advantage. She went around telling people that she was Tsunade's illegitimate daughter. Tsunade had her out of wedlock and put her up for adoption, and now she was escaping an abusive home, looking for her real mom. She was always sure to tack on at the end that she was so scared and didn't know where to go before letting the waterworks take over. Of course, Sakura felt bad acting like this. It was deceptive and preying upon what little kindness existed in these people's hearts. But if it worked, it worked. And if it didn't, a couple Rio was all that it required to get the wheels turning. Eventually, someone pointed her in the direction of a certain apartment. Sakura, hoping that it was true, would go to where they had said it would be. Knocking on the door opened up, but a latch was still on it. A woman, beautiful and mature, stood there gazing at her. Sakura was awestruck by this woman, who seemed to define what she had hoped to grow into one day. The legends were true. Tsunade? Are you Miss Tsunade? She asked. Who's asking? Tsunade said. Sakura smiled. Hi, my name's Sakura, and I came to talk to you about something important. I don't want any damn cookies, Tsunade said as she shut the door in Sakura's face. Sakura was surprised. She was a lot meaner than she thought she would be. Sakura began to knock on the door again, but there was no answer. She knocked a third time. Miss Tsunade, I'm not selling cookies. I need to speak to you. It's urgent. Again, no answer. Thinking for a moment, she spoke once again. It's about Jiraiya. A second later, she heard the chain latch being undone. The door opened. A curious Tsunade had taken the bait. What about Jiraiya? Sakura sat in Tsunade's one-bedroom apartment in the darkness. There were empty whiskey bottles everywhere, and the room smelt of burnt cigarette butts. As Sakura sat down, Tsunade hovered over her like a vigilante seeking justice. Sakura began to explain what had happened. The attack on the leaf, Orochimaru, the death of Jiraiya and Naruto, and the loss of the nine-tailed demon fox. Tsunade looked disappointed to hear that Hiruzen had been killed by Orochimaru, and even more so when she learned that Jiraiya had passed. But as she stood there contemplating, she looked up at Sakura again. Thank you for telling me. You may leave now. I'm not finished yet, Sakura said. Tsunade looked at her for a moment with a question. What is it? I came here because you're needed. My master is very sick and dying due to a powerful genjutsu that's ripping his mind apart, and only you can heal him. Secondly, we were kind of hoping that you'd become our next Hokage. Tsunade laughed. Sorry, kid, but I got my own problems. Sakura was surprised. But your village needs you. That's really too bad, Tsunade said. Sakura was appalled. But you're a Sannin. You're the greatest kunoichi to ever come out of Konoha. It's your duty. I gave up on Konoha a long time ago, and besides, as I said, I have a lot of problems of my own to deal with. Like what? What could be so bad that you would rather stay here in the slums? There was a knock at the door. "Open up, princess," a voice shouted. "Like that," she said. Coming to the door, she spoke. "Go away, Chico. Tell King that I'll have his money next week." "It's not gonna work this time, princess. Taika's tired of waiting. You're gonna pay him back one way or another," they shouted. Tsunade ran back to her room where she opened the blinds of her window. "What's going on?" Tsunade looked at Sakura. "Konoha may have demon fox problems, but I have my own demon fox to worry about. We need to get out of here, now." "What did you do?" Sakura asked. "I may have borrowed money from a local mafioso and then gambled it away. Then I might have promised I could win it back, borrowed more, and then lost that too." Sakura was beginning to wonder if it was such a good idea to let this woman be Hokage. Regardless, she pushed it from her mind. If Hiruzen wanted her, then he had to have a reason for it. "Come back with me to Konoha. You'll be safer there." Tsunade helped Sakura get down from the second-story window to the ground before jumping down herself. As soon as she did, though, she turned around to see weapons trained on her. "Where are you going, Sue?" one of the men asked. Tsunade spoke. "Over to the palace to see your boss," she said. The men began to chuckle. "Good, that's exactly where we're going. How about we escort you, just to make sure you get there safely?" Tsunade's smile faded a bit before she chuckled. Sure." When they said palace, Sakura assumed they meant the rather large castle in the center of town, but she was surprised when they were led down below the surface. It was there that Sakura realized that Tanazuka was roughly 4 times larger and existed in a hidden cavern below. There they saw another castle, though it was far smaller than the one above. That's where they were taken. Sakura and Tsunade were tied up to chairs and left to wait. Tsunade looked at Sakura. "Whatever you do, don't speak unless you're specifically spoken to, and don't say anything more than's necessary." The guards waited silently until the doors opened. From there, a man appeared, approaching them from the shadows. Walking into the light, he moved toward a bottle of wine on ice and popped the cork, beginning to pour himself a glass. Sakura was surprised by what she saw. The man they called Taika seemed rather youthful, appearing to be in his early 20s, yet the way he carried himself betrayed his true age as being far older. He wore a 3-piece suit and appeared to be a very successful businessman. His hair was brown and somewhat messy, though still controlled, and his eyes were as blue as the skies above. But the strangest thing about him was the slight animalistic traits. Atop his head were a set of fox ears, and a fluffy tail appeared from behind. What was this? A Kekkei Genkai? Perhaps a curse mark like the Nara had been working on? Or was this somehow connected to the Ninetales and its attack on Konoha so many years ago? She had hoped to ask, but knew that doing so might offend the man, and if that was done, the man might kill them. Facing them now, holding the glass of wine in his hand, he swirled it around and gave it a sniff. Taking a sip, he let it play on his tongue for a moment before swallowing, admiring every flavor. "Ah, the expensive stuff," he said. Looking up at Tsunade, he spoke. "I'd offer you a glass, but I doubt you'd appreciate it. The $5 brands with their high content seem more your style," he said in a condescending tone, looking down his nose. Tsunade smiled. "What can I say? I'm thrifty, and I know how to have a good time. Thrifty isn't what I'd call someone who gambled away 500,000 Ryo in one night, and then came back for another 100,000 the night after. Sounds more to me like you're a pit to throw money in just to smell it burn." Tsunade chuckled again. "You're always so funny, King," she said. Taika rolled his eyes and took another sip. "You know, I've given you more time than I've ever given anyone else." Tsunade smiled and looked down. "And you've disrespected me more than anyone else as well." Tsunade looked up again. "I must be a truly special girl to get such benefits from a powerful man. I'm blessed." Taika sighed. All the while, Sakura looked over at Tsunade. What was this gimmick she was putting on? She was like a totally different person now. "You know, I spared you because you were a legend. You did things that they said could never be done. I thought you were gonna be the one who would make me bigger than Gato, but as it turns out, you're just another washed-up kunoichi. A useless woman whose only thoughts are drinks and thrills. Disgusting." This King Taika fellow was really at the end of his rope with Tsunade, and Sakura could see as much. It was while Sakura looked over at Tsunade that the man spoke again. "And what about you?" he said. Sakura looked over to see the man pointing a finger at her. "Me? I'm just here on errand. I didn't mean to get mixed up in any of this," she said. Taika took another sip of wine. "Funny, because all of my men that you talked to told me that you were Tsunade's estranged daughter." "What?" Tsunade said, looking over at Sakura. "I didn't have a daughter." Sakura smiled. "You still don't. I needed to find you. Taika began to chuckle. I like that. She thinks on her feet. He walked closer. Bending down and looking at Sakura's face, he spoke with an intensity in his eyes. Do yourself a favor and don't grow up to be like this useless woman over here. Don't say such a thing, Tsunade said, drawing Taika's attention. He turned to face Tsunade. She looked at him cutely. I know I did a bad thing, but surely I can make it up to you somehow, she said as she rubbed her head against his shoulder. Taika smiled. Actually, maybe you can. You always were a beautiful woman. And I can't help but imagine what you might look like in the outfit I have planned for you. I'll wear anything for you, my king, she said. Taika rose back to his full height and clapped his hands. Good, then we have an understanding. Men, take Tsunade to the back and get her fitted for her new shoes. Oh, you're gonna give me new shoes, she asked. What kind? Taika smiled. Concrete. You're going for a swim, my dear. Tsunade's eyes widened. Now, Taika, can you really waste a woman like me? Taika laughed. Sue, you think of yourself too highly. You're neither as smart or beautiful as you think you are, and reality is getting ready to slap you upside the face like a fish. Probably in a literal sense. Now take her away. Sir, what do we do with the pink one? They asked. Taika looked at Sakura for a moment. I'm not a cruel man. Someone needs to tell the story. Make her watch and then let her go. I've got an image to maintain. Turning away from them, they led Sakura and Tsunade to the back. Still tied up, Sakura shook her head. What was that out there? I was trying to woo him, Tsunade said. Well, obviously it didn't work. How can I help that? Maybe I'm just not his type. Or maybe you're not as smart as you think. Seriously, the entire time this has been happening, I've been questioning what the heck Hiruzen ever saw in you to cause him to think that you would be anywhere near a good Hokage. It's ludicrous. Tsunade looked down. Honestly, you're right. I wasn't always like this. I mean, I used to have my vices. Even my grandfather, Hashirama Senju, knew that I had issues ever since I was a kid. From a young age, I was a gambler. A darn good one too, she said. Well, obviously not anymore, Sakura said. Maybe not. Maybe I am washed up. But what do you say about going all in on one last bet? And get myself killed with you? Hell no, Sakura said. Tsunade nudged her. Come on, one more bet on the Slug Princess. Without risk, there's no reward. Sakura looked at Tsunade, half ready to tell her off, but then Tsunade spoke. If you help me get out of this one, I'll go back to Konoha with you. At the very least, I'll heal your mentor, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be Hokage. I don't know if I want you as Hokage at this point. Tsunade smiled. Fair point, but you gotta at least be hoping that your master recovers. I'll do it for you. I'll even teach you to do it yourself. What do you say? Sakura thought about it. If she did nothing, Kakashi would die. But with Tsunade's help, maybe there was hope. All right, fine. What's your plan? The open sea. 2 boats bobbed up and down in the water. Tsunade was bound upon one, ready to walk the plank as it were, 2 guards behind her. And on the other vessel was Taika and Sakura, who was only loosely bound by her hands. Taika leaned in. Pay close attention, Sakura. This is what happens when people cross me. Taika then sent the signal to have Tsunade and the cinder blocks they had put on her feet thrown overboard. As they lifted her up to throw her, Sakura turned to Taika with a whimper and hid her face in his ribs. Taika looked down at her with a bit of expectation and annoyance. Girl, get off me and put your eyes on the event. Someone needs to witness her last breaths. He turned Sakura around to face Tsunade, unaware that she was currently holding the keys to the cuffs she was in. Slowly moving her hands over, she applied the key to the cuffs and unbound them. And then she turned and planted a fist in Taika's gut, knocking him back against the other guards. As Taika struggled to breathe, unaware how a little girl could have so much strength, he was surprised when she saw the girl turn into Tsunade. She saluted him and then jumped to the other boat where she took out the guards trying to throw her doppelganger overboard. Helping her down, the Tsunade in the concrete shoes transformed back into Sakura as Tsunade smashed the blocks on her feet. At this time, Taika growled and groaned. Jumping to the other boat, he began to remove his blazer and vest. Bait and switch. I'll give you that, but it doesn't change the outcome. The only difference is now both of you will die. Suddenly, his body was covered in black markings, telling Sakura that this was indeed a curse mark. Pushing it further though, his body suddenly took on the shape of a large werewolf-like fox, his face contorting into a snout, his back hunching, and his fingers becoming claw-like. Rushing forward, he clawed at Tsunade. I've been waiting for this for a long time, Tsunade said as her entire body was covered in a curse mark of her own, the strength of 100 seal. She moved quickly and decisively. Any strike Taika managed to land on her healed within a matter of seconds. As she watched this fight, Sakura began to understand why Tsunade was desired to be Hokage. She was crafty and strong. Tsunade managed to get a good volley of punches in on Taika. "Sakura, get this boat going!" Sakura ran to the boat's cabin where she took up the wheel. Pushing forward on a lever, the boat jerked forward, causing Taika and Tsunade to lose balance and move toward the back. Taika caught himself as Tsunade hit the ground. Words moving through pointed teeth, Taika spoke. "It looks like your luck has finally run out." Tsunade then spoke. "You dumb bastard, it was never about luck. I just suck at counting cards." She then punched him in the knee, knocking it out of its joint. As Taika howled and grabbed onto the side of the boat for stability, Tsunade stood and used her leverage to push him overboard, letting him bounce along the surface of the boat's wake. Tsunade laughed. "Hey Captain, set course for Konohagakure. I've got a debt to pay." And so Tsunade made good on her promises. She became the next Hokage and even healed Kakashi's mind. But from there, she also taught Sakura all the tricks of the trade. Sakura, knowing it would be up to her to rescue Sasuke herself, began training intensely with both Tsunade and Kakashi. And as she trained, time flew away with her until 3 years had passed. Her fists clashing together, Sakura stood there. Her last bout of training had just wrapped up, and she found herself able to even push Tsunade back. Without Naruto or Sasuke in the village, her team was empty. And despite the fact that she knew that pushing herself too hard could lead to burnout or injury, she did indeed push herself farther than she ever had before, even going so far as to get advice from Rock Lee and Might Guy with how to balance all of her training with her everyday life. And they had told her that it was all in finding the right way to work multiple muscle groups at the same time as opposed to only a single one. Furthermore, the level of protein she ate would determine her muscle growth. Due to their advice, not only had Sakura grown stronger, but her body had become toned, her muscles larger than most kunoichi her age, still maintaining that feminine beauty, something not too far removed from Tsunade. So to say she turned heads in the village was not a lie. She had far surpassed even Ino in the looks department, which caused men to turn red and women to turn green with envy. But this was only a side effect of her training. Her work was not in an effort to look better. No. She needed to be more effective. She needed to maximize every advantage she got and minimize her disadvantages. And so she trained relentlessly, working on her taijutsu as well, bouncing between Kakashi, Tsunade, and Team Guy, who were known for their taijutsu specialists. Despite not having the Byakugan, her knowledge of the body inherited from Tsunade allowed her to gauge tenketsu and pressure points, to the point that she could make at least a little use of the gentle fist technique. But further still, she was able to learn the 8 gates. Not that she could do much with them. She wasn't as gifted in this department as Lee, so the furthest she got was the second gate, the first that removed one's physical inhibitions, allowing them to use 100% of their physical capacity, and then the second gate, which would be considered a second wind as well as another boost in power. Try as she might, she never made it to Gate 3, but her progress and dedication to learning had pushed her further than she ever could have gotten by herself. With nobody else to rely on, Sakura had decided to be the best she possibly could be. But furthermore, Tsunade, seeing Sakura's dedication, told her that there was one final gift she could give her, and that was knowledge of the secret sage area of Shikotsu Forest. Tsunade told her that some people who trained under sages could gain a sage mode, with known users being Jiraiya and the first Hokage. However, neither Tsunade or Orochimaru had the skill or chakra reserves to use it. But measuring Sakura's growth and abilities, she began to wonder if it were possible that she could use it. Upon determining that the likelihood that she could use it was at least 64%, she decided that she would bet on Sakura and send her there to train. Under the Great Slug Sage, she learned to quiet her mind and focus on what was around her, giving her access to a sage mode that had been taught to only one person within the last 100 years, Hashirama Senju. She would reach the mountain, and there she would train day and night to achieve the sage mode. At first, it was believed that her chakra reserves were still too small, but by going through a rigorous training regimen designed to increase her reserves, she tried again and managed to accomplish the task. To ensure she could maintain control of the Sage Mode, they told her to continue increasing her chakra reserves so she could continue to use Sage Mode for as long as she could. Upon returning to Konoha, that was where the meat of her training went. Her physical training was reduced for the moment to only maintaining what she already had, while the effort was diverted to increasing her reserves. It was at about this time that Sakura learned that Gaara was captured by the Akatsuki for his tailed beast. Upon hearing that, Sakura's heart began to break as she realized that they were going to do the same to him that they did to Naruto. And so, she volunteered to go, as did Kakashi, who wished for a little payback against the Akatsuki. However, their team was not strong enough, which led Tsunade, by a certain request from a Konoha official, to add Sai to their team. a rather pale and robotic boy who often smiled at awkward times due to his lack of any emotional compass. This was sad to Sakura, and he often found himself annoying her, though Sakura tried to be compassionate. She had no clue what his deal was, but when Kakashi told her that he may be working with a special division of the Anbu, she attempted to understand. Together, the three, as well as Team Guy, made their way to Suna to search for Gaara. The meeting between Lee and Sakura was a happy one, as the two spent much of their time together training. Neji offered no change in his expression, though Tenten told Sakura that he was indeed excited to see her, as was she herself. The two set off to rescue Gaara, during which they got their lead after Sakura healed the poisoned Kankuro. Stopping only when they faced Itachi and Kisame's clones, Sakura surprised everyone with her level of power, going so far as to even resist Itachi's genjutsu due to her training with Tsunade. In the end, these versions of Itachi and Kisame were simply clones of the original, and due to this, Sakura could not tell if she was in any way comparable to Itachi or not. They would locate Gaara, but it was too late, as he was already dead. Standing above him, Sasori and Deidara. Deidara attempted to flee, seeing as there were too many here to fight. However, Kakashi and Sai would give chase along with Tenten and Guy, leaving Sakura, Lee, Neji, and Chiyo to face Sasori. To say Sasori didn't have a prayer is the understatement of the year. Sakura's strength and speed helped her avoid the strikes from the poisoned weaponry Sasori used. Neji as well, due to his Byakugan, could dodge and avoid said attacks, and Lee too could avoid them, only getting struck once due to being overly excited. It was Neji who detected the odd chakra flow with his Byakugan, informing them that Sasori was reduced to nothing more than a heart. With his abilities on show, Neji dodged most of the attacks coming in and retaliated with his kunai at close range, putting an end to Sasori. Through the help of Sai and his Super Beast Scroll allowing him to summon an Ink Falcon, they were able to keep up with Deidara, kill him, and recover Gaara's body. Chiyo would sacrifice her own life to bring Gaara back to life. It was a sad sacrifice, but to see the joy fulfilled in the eyes of Kankuro and Temari filled Sakura with joy as well. Upon returning to the village, they informed Tsunade that Sasori was supposed to meet with Orochimaru on the Tenchi Bridge, and so Tsunade would allow Team 7 to seek out Orochimaru. All of this went very well until it was revealed to have always been a trap, and that Orochimaru was planning to kill Sasori from the start. Sakura spearheaded retaliation against Orochimaru, pulling out all the stops and pushing him back. He was very impressed by her, but in the end managed to get away. Sai appeared to betray them, but faked it to kill Sasuke under the orders of Danzo Shimura. But when he had the chance to, he failed. It was then, though, that Sakura met up again with Sasuke for the first time in years. Looking to her from the rubble of Orochimaru's hidden lab, he was surprised by the changes she had experienced. She looked like she might be able to kick his rear, and the sad truth was, in a physical sense, she probably could. "Why did you come here?" he asked her. "Honestly, I didn't give half a crap about Orochimaru. I came to bring you home," she said. "But what makes you think I want to go home?" he asked. "I have yet to kill Itachi, though I'm growing close. Come back with me. I can help you more than Orochimaru can." "Somehow I doubt that," he said. Sakura had been bluffing. There was likely nothing she could teach Sasuke that Orochimaru either hadn't already or couldn't. Sasuke turned away from her. "I will spare you this time, Sakura, for the hopes of what we may have together in the future when all this is over. But I warn you now, do not get in my way. Itachi is a dead man, and I'll do whatever it takes to make it so." And a moment later, Sasuke was gone. Sakura, looking over at Sai, grabbed him by the throat and pushed him against a rock. "What was all this about?" she asked. "I was tasked with killing Sasuke." "Who tasked you?" she demanded to know as she drew dangerously close to crushing his windpipe. "I can't tell you." He showed his tongue to Sakura, proving the impossibility of what she was asking by displaying the curse mark that sat upon it. Sakura loosened her grip a little. "Then why didn't you fulfill the mission?" she asked. Sai looked to the side. "The way you talk about him, the length you'll go to help him. I simply couldn't take that away from you. I couldn't take him away." Sakura pulled her hand back. "I'm sorry," he said. "I just don't understand why you would want to be friends with someone like that. I don't even know what the criteria for being a friend even is. I know I had one once, but that was so long ago that I've forgotten what it was like." Sakura let out a sigh through her nose. "Stick with us long enough and maybe we'll teach you." After this, Sakura told Tsunade what had happened with Sasuke and recommended that they give him some room. "I don't think Sasuke's a threat to us. He seems to remain loyal to the Leaf. So there's a high possibility that he may do the deed for us. We just need to give him time and not push the envelope," she said. "Is this the strategist Sakura talking, or the hopelessly love-stricken Sakura?" Tsunade asked. "I know how you feel about him," she said. Sakura nodded. "Granted, But that being said, when I last saw Sasuke, he had an incredible power radiating from him. At that moment, I felt as though it were even greater than mine. I have no doubt that if Sasuke put his mind to it, he could defeat Orochimaru. Having fought Orochimaru myself, I feel as though what I'm saying is true. Tsunade took a deep breath in and let it out. If you're sure about this, then I suppose we can divert attention to our secondary target. We've been tracking the Akatsuki's movements and attempting to capture or kill them. We recently sent Asuma Sarutobi out with a squad to capture 2 targets, but he was killed. We're currently scrambling a new squad to take them out. Shikamaru is leading a team to take out Hidan, but we need someone to lead a team to take out Kakazu. I want you on that team, Tsunade said. Sakura agreed, and so they set out to kill Kakazu. When they located him, Sakura had no words to describe how he made her feel. Why are the Akatsuki filled with so many weirdos, she wondered. They'd begin to fight, and during this, she went all out, utilizing her Sage mode. It's been years since I've seen that, he told her. The first Hokage was the last person I faced with that. And how did that battle go? Sakura asked. Kakazu smiled. I almost killed him. Sakura smiled herself. Keyword, almost. You think yourself as good as the first Hokage. Sakura shook her head. No, but I don't need to be because you're not either, it seems. And besides, I have backup. You're at the disadvantage. We'll see, Kakazu said. And so the 2 of them began to fight against each other. Kakazu, with his Earth Grudge Fear technique, managed to even the playing field by turning some of the masks on his body into warriors who could protect him from the other shinobi nearby. Sakura and Kakazu clashed. Kakazu managed to use the unique traits his body possessed from his pilfered forbidden technique to get the better of Sakura, stabbing her in the stomach. Sakura groaned for a second, blood dripping from her mouth. Kakazu laughed, thinking that he had won. That was until Sakura began to laugh too. This caught Kakazu off guard. Do you find your demise funny? He asked. She shook her head. No, I find yours funny. She would push her hand forward and shatter the mask on his chest. As Kakazu took a step back, he was shocked. The wound he had inflicted on Sakura began to heal as her smile shone brightly. It was then that Kakazu summoned back the lightning mask to replace his heart, but in doing so, increased the chances that Kakashi and the others might destroy the remaining masks, which they did manage to do. With only 1 heart left and being severely outnumbered, Kakazu considered retreating, but not before he would claim Sakura's heart to replace his own as vengeance. But he had sorely underestimated her, as the Sakura he'd been fighting all along was a shadow clone, and the real Sakura appeared behind him to finish him off. With Kakazu dead, Shikamaru managed to personally defeat Hidan to avenge his master. Returning to Konoha, they informed Tsunade of what had happened, and she commended them. But word eventually reached Konoha that Sasuke had killed Orochimaru and was now seeking Itachi. Tsunade had hoped to intercept Sasuke on his way to fight him, but Sakura convinced her not to. She said that Sasuke had done them a great service by killing Orochimaru and was now about to kill another wanted criminal. Sakura begged Tsunade to give Sasuke the benefit of the doubt and let him do what he was going to do, telling her that he would come back when he was finished. Tsunade decided to give her the benefit of the doubt, but he never did. Sakura waited outside for so long. It was revealed to her later on that Sasuke had killed Itachi, and instead of returning to the village, had instead led an attack on Kumogakure, attacking their 8 Tails Jinchuriki under the command of the Akatsuki. Sakura was shocked to hear this. Why Sasuke would throw in with them was beyond her. Something had to have happened. Intel had come in that Sasuke had plans to eventually move on and destroy the Hidden Leaf. Due to this turn of events, as well as the supposed capture of Killer Bee, a 5 Kage summit is held in the Land of Iron, and Tsunade goes. Sure that Sasuke will attempt to kill Tsunade when she's vulnerable, Sakura and the rest of the remaining Konoha 11 vow to be the ones to eliminate Sasuke. As you might think, Sakura herself is bent out of shape by this, but she also feels somewhat responsible. If she hadn't interfered with Tsunade's hopes to bring Sasuke back, perhaps this would have never happened. Feeling responsible for the crisis now at hand, Sakura determines in her heart that she's going to be the one to kill Sasuke personally. And so she sets out with her own team consisting of Sai, Lee, Kiba, and Akamaru. As they meet on the bridge, Sasuke is surprised, along with his team Taka, to see that Sakura and her team are there. Sakura steps forward and begins to speak with Sasuke. "What are you doing?" she asked him, her eyes filled with concern. Sasuke remained silent, his eyes still filled with a subtle blackness that lingered somewhere between anger and apathy. "You said you would kill Orochimaru and kill Itachi. Then you said you'd come home. I trusted you. I convinced Konoha to trust you, and then you do this." Sakura's emotions were getting wound up. She was starting to let her frustrations out, something that had built up for quite some time. Feeling the weight of the Akatsuki and Sasuke upon her shoulders, Sakura spoke. "Why are you doing this?" Sasuke was silent for a moment before speaking. "You wouldn't understand." "You think I wouldn't?" she asked. "Try me." Sasuke shook his head. "You know, you were always so incessant, annoying. Didn't you tell me that we were going to have a future together, back when we met at Tenchi Bridge?" Sasuke scoffed. "You only ever had one purpose in my life, and that was to give me an heir, to bring back my bloodline. It was never once about you," he said. Sakura's heart shattered. There had been a time, she thought, where such a statement would not have dissuaded her, but now she was seeing Sasuke in a whole new light. He was selfish, consumed by his own desires. Maybe at one point Sakura had been too, but right now, as she spoke, she knew she couldn't afford to be so any further. Unbeknownst to her, however, tears streamed down her cheeks, and these tears caught the eye of Lee, who stood beside her. His anger kindled, he called up to Sasuke. "Shut up! You do not know the things Sakura has done for you! You do not deserve her," he said. Sasuke looked at Lee and let off a small smile. "Will the failure of a shinobi come to her aid? If you want her so bad, then take her. Maybe your children together will be as skillless as their father." Lee grew angered by this and went to challenge Sasuke, but he was caught by Sakura. She offered a smile through her tears. "It's okay, Lee. Sasuke always was mine to deal with. I'll fix this. Just keep his team off me, okay?" Lee looked at her with compassion and worry. "You do not have to do this alone, Sakura. I know what he means to you. You do not have to kill him yourself." Sakura went to reassure Lee, but was caught off guard by Sasuke laughing. He laughed as though this had been the funniest thing he'd heard all day. "Her, kill me. Come on," he said. He shook his head. "Fine, I'm interested. I'll take a little break to let you try." Looking back at his team, he spoke. "Kill her friends. I got this." Sasuke jumped from the bridge, landing on the water below. Sakura looked at the others. "Keep them busy, okay?" Lee begrudgingly nodded. Sakura then jumped down as well. As she stood there, she couldn't help but look at him and then down at the kunai she held in her shaking hands. "He won't hesitate," she said within herself. "Neither can I." Looking up, she saw him slowly drawing out a long katana from behind him. By this time, his Sharingan had already become Mangekyo Sharingan. After so many years, she questioned how he had not gone blind from using them. "I started to, but Orochimaru tested some experiments on me, attempting to make a homemade eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. He injected me with Hashirama cells to reverse the damage to keep them from burning out. It worked," he said with a smile. "You're toast." Sakura took a deep breath. "I loved you once," she said, "and in memory of the man I so cared for, I'll kill the monster you've become." The two charged at each other. The first thing Sasuke tried was genjutsu, but Sakura had long since trained to resist such techniques, managing to keep her head. As the two clashed blades, Sakura possessed a steely determination. Their blade moving quickly, it was a surprise with Sasuke that Sakura could keep up. The strength was insane for any woman he had ever fought, and at times it felt as though she were pushing him back. He flooded his blade with lightning release and charged at her once again. As he did so, she would do the hand signs for a water-style jutsu, creating a geyser of water to shoot up from below. Sasuke tried to go around it, but didn't find Sakura there. Waiting for the water to settle, he didn't see her anywhere above the water, and immediately knew where she was, though it was far too late for him. He would feel her hand gripping his foot and dragging him under the waves. Unable to use his lightning release down here, for fear he'd fry himself too, he attempted to slash at her with his blade, but she didn't let him. Going in for a punch to the ribs with enough force that it would normally snap them, she struck him. However, due to the drag of the water, the force of the attack was siphoned, and only managed to push the air from his lungs. He gagged and struggled to get to the surface. However, she grabbed him, held him down, and pushed him against the riverbed, where she held him by the throat. He could not see her crying, as her tears mixed with the water they were now submerged in. Despite this, she could see his tears as they were forming from blood, as he attempted to cast a Matarasu. She dodged just in time, giving Sasuke the chance to get to the surface. Once there, he gasped for air as he began to crawl up on the surface, coughing. Sasuke saw Sakura coming up and formed a Chidori. Sticking his hand in the water, he discharged the electricity, zapping her. Sakura felt the lightning release coursing through her body. He kept pouring it on. Sakura felt like without air and with the shocks, she might pass out soon. She needed to make a move now, or it was over. Opening both the first and second gates, she recovered just enough to get to the surface and stand. Once she was up, she went back on the offensive. However, Sasuke was now also going to be trying harder. As she drew closer to strike him, a ribcage formed around him out of ethereal purple chakra. Sakura couldn't get through the ribcage, not with the attacks she had now. With that, Sasuke began to retaliate, using fire style to breathe a massive fireball in her direction. Sakura jumped back and away. She knew that the only chance she had to break through this was to up her game. She needed to use more than she had been, so she activated her strength of 100 seal to boost her power and prepare her body for regeneration. Rushing back toward him, she ran through the fireball that he had made with her fist at the ready. Sasuke saw her coming and tried to retreat, but it was far too late. Her fist collided with the Susanoo ribcage and sent him flying backward. He struck the rock wall behind him, entire body ringing. Sakura knew she still had a lot more in the tank. If she could avoid his Amaterasu and smash through his Susanoo, she would be able to win. This gave her hope, which brought a smile to her face, a smile that quickly faded the moment she remembered who it was she was about to kill. Taking a breath, she pushed her emotions to the side. She would have to if she was going to win. Rushing forward again, Sasuke used his armored Susanoo to push him from the cliff face. Forming a crossbow on the arm of his Susanoo, he attempted to shoot her with it. Sakura saw it coming though and dodged the moment that he fired it. As it reloaded, she closed the gap and smashed into it again. This time though, the shell was far stronger. Sasuke smiled at her, though his smile faded as well the moment he realized her strike had caused a crack to form. The Susanoo swung its arm at her to push her back again. Sasuke stood there for a moment before weaving hand signs for an earth-style technique, causing much of the cliffside to fall on Sasuke's Susanoo. As it was busy with these stones, Sakura rushed in again, activating her Sage Mode for a split second to give her the strength she required to shatter the Susanoo's armor. She kicked him, causing him to skid across the surface of the water. As he rolled, he laid there, questioning if he was really going to be killed by a girl. Whether it was the moment or the anger from the threat she posed to him, he didn't know, but something changed. Something awakened in him that he didn't know was there. In a moment more, his Mangekyo Sharingan formed into Rinnegan, a reaction from the Hashirama cells that Orochimaru had implanted within him. The moment they formed, the eyes whispered to him, filling him with innate knowledge of their abilities and limitations. Sasuke began to laugh as he stood, causing Sakura to back up for a moment. He looked at her with his ringed eyes and spoke. "Perhaps I should thank you. You've pushed me to my limits, further than even Itachi has. For a moment there, I thought I was dead, but you brought something out of me I couldn't imagine. And now, I'm going to kill you with it." Holding out his hand, he began to form chakra rods that he shot at her. Sakura was struck multiple times by these, which caused her body to begin regenerating immediately after she pulled them out. It was then that he pushed her away with the Diva Path, smashing her into the wall she had so many times forced upon him. For the first time in his life, Sakura was bringing him pure pleasure, but not in the way that she had dreamed. As he stood there, looking at her, blood dripping out of her mouth, he formed his Susanoo and fired a bolt from its crossbow into her abdomen, piercing straight through and pinning her to the wall. As she cried out in pain, Sasuke drew closer. Her body was already attempting to heal the wound, but it couldn't, not while the bolt remained. She was bleeding profusely, wasting a lot of chakra. Sasuke drew closer to her and began to use the Preta Path to siphon her chakra, using it to heal his own wounds. She knew she didn't have much time, and so she made the fateful decision to sever her torso from her lower body to free herself from the arrow. Sasuke was surprised. With the remainder of her power, Sakura pushed herself off the arrow and into the water below, where she dove for her lower body. Grabbing it, she began to press her torso against it and willing it to heal with her chakra. She expended so much chakra doing this that as the wound finally closed, her strength of 100 seal disappeared from her forehead. Making it back to the surface, Sakura laid there for a moment, trying to breathe. The pain from that moment still fresh in her mind. She could not have foreseen this. Sasuke awakening the Rinnegan in this battle against her. It just seemed like fate was turning against her. As she laid there, Sasuke appeared above, looking down. He spoke. "For some time, I believed you might be my wife. You were healthy, strong, and desperate." She looked at him and spoke. "What changed, Sasuke? What made you do this?" Sasuke began to explain everything to her. All he had learned about Itachi, about what he had done, and about what they had made him do. "And for that reason, I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to destroy it all. Every man, woman, and child in Konoha. Nothing shall remain." The war between the Senju and Uchiha had been thought to end, but as we see, even now, between the two of us, we follow two very different paths. I follow my Uchiha bloodline, and you wield the powers used only by the Senju. This was destined from birth, Sakura. Destiny that one day you and I would meet, and you would fall in love, and I would learn the truth. It has been ordained by heaven that here we should fight, and now heaven has chosen me as victor, and you vanquished." As he stood there, the sun blocked out by his head, the shadow on his face only pierced by his lavender eyes. "In a way, it's sad. To some degree, I had believed you were a beautiful girl who would stand by my side forever. But in the end, I guess anything you could do, Kareen could just do as well." A black rod forming in his hand, he spoke. "Goodbye, Sakura." It was at that time that a volley of shuriken came whizzing through the air. Sai had thrown them to buy Sakura some time that she did not waste. Activating Sage Mode, she attempted to recover stamina. Sweeping his feet, she pushed away from him. Sasuke, rising back to his full height, smiled. "So you do have a bit more in the tank," he said. "Good. I was beginning to think that the fun was over." He approached Sakura, and she came back at him. At this point, though, she was just about out of juice. He had the advantage, and as he threw her against the cliff face once again, he pinned her to it with 5 black rods that ran clean through her body. She cried out in pain. Sasuke walked over. Gripping one of the rods, he began to twist it and push it deeper. Sakura cried out in pain. Sasuke put his hand on her head. She gripped it tightly. "No more healing, no more games. I am done with you," he said. Using the Predapath, he began to absorb her chakra. Sakura felt herself growing weaker. This was the end. She knew it. She had nothing left in her to heal with. The wounds would be fatal. But she couldn't let Sasuke continue. She spoke to him. "Sasuke." He listened to her speak as he continued to absorb her chakra. "What?" "Those things that you said about me. About never really seeing me as anything more than a useful woman to have a child with. Did you mean that?" Sasuke's face contorted in anger and confusion. "Of course I meant it. You were the perfect candidate. As I said before, you were desperate. I could do anything I wanted with you. I saw you as nothing more than a pet. Useful to my ends, disposable if needed." Sakura smiled. "Even if that's so, I still love you. Deeply. And I won't let you go. Not alone," she said. Sasuke began to laugh. "And how do you think you'll kill me?" Before he could even finish that sentence, though, he had all but turned to stone. Sakura felt tears in her eyes. She had spoken to divert his attention so he would not realize what was happening to him. But even so, not a word of what she said was a lie. She wailed with all the remaining strength she had left, which wasn't much. As she eventually slowed, she drew closer to the stone statue of a man she had loved and pressed her lips against the rock that he had become. In this, his beauty and everything she could remember of him was forever preserved. Slowly, his chakra gave out and the statue began to sink below the waves, pulling on the black rod in Sakura's stomach, causing her to wince and gasp in pain. Eventually, it pulled the rod from the cliff wall, dragging it out of her. As blood poured from her wound, she watched as Sasuke disappeared into the darkness below. Tears fell, and as he faded from sight, she heard the sound of Kiba above calling down to her. She looked up for only a moment, but her consciousness faded. She saw darkness, and it only subsided for a moment as she saw her friends gathering around her. They were all crying, even Sai, who said that it had been a long time since he'd done this, and he was finally remembering why he no longer felt emotions, because they hurt. Sakura smiled and put her hand on his. She told them it was okay. "A team always sticks together," she said. As she remembered Sasuke and Naruto, their smiles, and the way they were in her childhood, she couldn't help but smile again. "I'm gonna go be with them now," she said. Looking at them each, she thanked them for helping her over the years, especially Lee, who she said she never could have completed this mission without. As she laid there, looking up into the clouds, she thought she saw them part, and a moment later, she was gone. Despite this victory, the war had only just begun, and it was one they were not ready for. Each of the tailed beasts were used to awaken the Ten Tails, and it was absorbed by Obito, who planned to use it to cast the infinite Tsukiyomi. Without the heirs of the Sage of Six Paths, there was nobody who could oppose him, and due to this, his plan succeeded. But he was not to see the world he wished, as Black Zetsu would proceed to betray him, just as Obito had betrayed everyone else. Kaguya would rise once more, and though the world never knew her and lived their lives to the end just as Obito planned, the world still came to an end. Nobody could stop Kaguya from reclaiming the chakra spread throughout the world. A sad ending to a sad story, but fate had ordained it from the beginning. Though Earth was dead and their fight was over, Sakura's war was over. And as she entered the heavenly realm, she was pleased to reunite with Naruto once again. And there, she finally found rest. And that's the end of the story. A real downer indeed, but I feel as though this might be the best way to do it. I simply don't see Sakura alone defeating all of the Akatsuki and stopping Kaguya. While it's entirely possible that the Sage of Six Paths could have simply chosen another vessel for his chakra, we have to realize that the best candidates were Sasuke and Naruto, and without Naruto, everything falls apart. Pain would never attack the Hidden Leaf because he'd already have the Nine Tails, and this would make the Akatsuki far stronger for the Fourth Shinobi World War, with Pain serving his purpose until Obito no longer needed him. And even if you think that Obito would have died to Pain, then regardless, when the Nine Tails is revived and Pain absorbs it, he would still be possessed by Kaguya, so the ending ends up the same. But you know, maybe it's a good thing that it ended this way. After all, so many what-ifs end on a positive note, and while that's great, sometimes it's good to throw in a bad ending to keep y'all on your toes. Without a few bad endings, the good endings might grow dull. But what do you think? Do you agree with how this what-if went? Let us know in the comments below, and if you liked the video, be sure to click that like button to show us. We release videos like this regularly, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified for when they release. And just in case you missed a couple, here are these for you. Check them out if you haven't already, or, feel free to watch again if you're so inclined. Until next time, peace out.